So the CDC is still completely messed up. Trump got his crazy doctor, fake doctor from Fox News or somebody else equivalent ignorance to post a CDC coronavirus statement that was completely medically unjustified. And then the CDC retaliated last Friday by posting another one. But that one said what everyone I think has known for like 3 months to be true, which is that it is not just heavy big drops of fluid coming out of people that sneeze, but it is these small particles that drift like smoke through a room that infect people with coronavirus. And that means essentially that if you could smell somebody smoking a cigarette, then you could get coronavirus from someone with those conditions. And that means that all indoor activities with a crowd of people are pretty much shot. And so somebody pressured them into taking that down, and it's been down for 3 or 4 days, waiting for some other document that is more approved to go up. So we are definitely far down what China was accused of doing with the first SARS crisis, and to a much lesser extent this time, of just publishing medical lies for the convenience of our administration who wants to pretend it's not happening. It is really quite distressing. Doesn't smoke wasp or whisk through the air? Yes, that's right. And so do the small particles from breathing and talking, and apparently those can carry coronavirus. That is what a lot of people have been determining for the last several months. And if that's true, then it's far more dangerous to be indoors. And I saw another article that said the 3 most common activities that they find that people engaged in who then test positive are going to bars, restaurants, and something else indoors. So just a room, it's just sitting in for an hour in a room with other people who are just normally breathing and not necessarily coughing or sneezing is very dangerous. This is why I'm glad they closed our college, because sitting for a lecture hall in a college classroom is exactly another one of those activities that you really should not be doing. Anyway, so there's a critical Windows flaw. I've heard quite a bit about this. I haven't tried it, but apparently you can connect to a Windows server, including a domain controller, and you can become administrator without passing through authentication at all. There was a similar one about Linux about 10 years ago, an R-login flaw. You could log in as administrator with no password. And so the federal agencies have been required to disconnect all their domain controllers from networks or update immediately. And people who use scanning tools like Shodan have found 20,000 machines still connected to the internet. So it's one of these. This is a 10 out of 10 security risk. These ones only come by every few years. MSO 867 was a big one. These ones where you can just totally take over a machine. And yet people say the exploit code that's out there to test it is not yet like a spreading worm. So it's not quite as bad as it could be. But anyway, everybody better patch their stuff right away unless they want to get hacked. I, of course, have not patched any of my stuff because getting hacked is good for me, but I'm a special case. The stuff that matters is not on Windows. So Trump is back to having his super spreader rallies where they're totally illegal activities in most of the towns where they are, but he just breaks the law and nobody cares. And he makes people wear masks when they're near him or when they're behind him where the cameras will pick up, and all the rest of the people refuse to wear masks. But this one's pretty funny. The same state, South Dakota, that held the gigantic rally with 500,000 people on motorcycles that then spread the virus all over the country, now had a huge rally hosted by the Medical Care Company. This is Sanford Health. So you can go to the Sanford Health official super spreader event, and then you can go to the Sanford Health clinic to get treated after you get sick from it. It is, I think, the rest of the world is just amazed and horrified by the United States watching how incredibly stupid we are about this. And it is amazing. It's very much like watching people around you join an insane cult and go out there and worship a death god and have human sacrifices to their death god. And you can't do anything about it because they're all nuts. And it shows, I think, an important factor of psychology is that people don't actually decide very much in their based on logic in their life. What they mostly do is just stay in the herd. Everybody's doing something, they just do whatever other people are doing, and they feel like it's right because they look at the people around them and say, well, I'm with the flock, so I'll be okay. And of course, most of the time, it is best to stay in the middle of the flock. See, didn't Philadelphia suffer a huge second wave? Well, Philadelphia, the entire nation suffered a huge second wave of the 1918 flu, and I don't know if anybody ever decided exactly why, because some people thought that it was just the weather. Oh, well, I mean, when my servers get hacked, it's mostly because my students are hacking for homework. And I get hacked otherwise. I just want to learn a technique. I went to DEF CON and I got hacked. They got my Gmail account and they put me on the wall of sheep. And that was extremely educational. I learned how that worked. I spent the next year demonstrating it everywhere. You know, so that's, you know, I benefit from these things, but most people don't. I have never had anything important stolen. My students have stolen. Yeah, it's a learning experience to get hacked. And by the way, if any of you want to hack me, go ahead. I have a policy for this, someplace a disclosure policy. If somebody finds a weakness in my stuff, then I have a responsible disclosure policy which says that, now of course you can't hack the college because I'm not authorized to allow you to do that, but you can hack my stuff. If you hack in any of my stuff, then I am legally bound not to prosecute you, and you may end up on the Hall of Fame. I have a Hall of Fame for people who have used something surprising here. About a dozen people have done it. From anonymous hackers on the internet to students and stuff, they've found flaws and gotten on my machines. Absolutely do it. It's worth extra credit. But of course, you know, the disclosure policy says, you know, you have to try to not disrupt the classes and stuff. And but you know, that's very good. And most companies are getting that way. They have a bug bounty program or a disclosure program of some kind so that people that are not criminals can hack them and then talk to them without fear of being prosecuted. That's the point of this. It is difficult to explain to administrators, but your company is safer if you opt out of the legal protection of prosecuting everybody who attacks you. The ones that come to you and discuss it and explain what they did so you can fix it need to be sure you aren't going to prosecute them. And by promising not to prosecute them, you become safer. But that's difficult to explain to administrators at first. Anyway, this one is kind of amazing. A guy working in the Public Relations Department in the National Institute of Health has a secret identity as a right-wing troll spreading all kinds of lies about the coronavirus and about the National Institute of Health and about Fauci and everything. So he had a double life, doing one thing and the opposite. I've heard of this years ago. There are people who are like network security people by day and black hat hackers by night. So now that this leaked out, he retired from his National Institute of Health job. Twitter had a deal. You can put up a picture, and if you put a picture on your tweet, Twitter will somehow crop the picture to show only part of it in the preview. And what somebody tried and showed is that if you put up a picture that is got a black person in half of it and a white person in the other half, then it will always choose the white face and not the black face. And you know, this is probably not an intentionally racist thing. The same thing happened to several laptop makers. They just have an AI and they trained it only on white faces. And they didn't consider that then their AI doesn't think that a black face is a proper way a face should look. But anyway, they're apologizing for that. The WeChat ban has been paused for a while, which is definitely good news for Chinese Americans who need WeChat. I traveled to China. I found out what everybody knows. You can't get anything done without WeChat. It's the all-purpose application there, even more than Facebook is here. You use it for text messaging and sending money and paying for things and just everything. And not letting people here have it is a serious problem. So this guy was selling drugs, apparently not just marijuana, but also other drugs, because marijuana is hardly illegal anymore. And he advertised it this way, and so the cops just zoomed in on the photograph and got his fingerprint off it and caught him from that. So this is like people who let their keys hang from their belt. Modern photographs are high resolution enough that you can zoom in and make a copy of the key. Yeah. Oh, leaving fingerprints on mail. Yeah, I would think so, yeah. So it's a thing to be aware of. You're exposing more in those fingerprints than you probably think you are. Anyway, so let's get down to the official stuff. We're 10 minutes after. And so that should be here. All right, so here we